think we're streaming. Just let me check on a few settings. Awesome. Everything checks out. Let's go ahead and get started. I see Donna's here. Hi, Donna. Oh, hello from Myrtle Beach. Oh, man. I would love to be at Myrtle Beach right now. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Bob's Live. If you were looking for last week's episode, well, there wasn't one. And that's because we're currently in the process of transitioning to a new phone system here at Bob's. So, me being the IT person, we were having the end user training last Tuesday. So, skipped that episode. But this week, I have a really great show for you. If you've seen the title, we're going to be taking a look at rototillers. But first, I thought we would take a look at what's happening here at Bob's. And the first thing that I wanted to show you is something that's happening over on our website. So let me jump over to our website here. Let me pull it up. If you go to bobsmarket.com, up at the top of the website, over on this right-hand side, we have an Our Plants section now. And basically, it has a listing of some of the different varieties that we're going to have available this spring. Now, of course, it's all subject to availability, and this isn't a complete list because it's basically what I was able to get pictures of. But you can scroll down through and kind of get your creative juices flowing, looking at the different photos. And for me, this time of year, we're starting to see a little bit of green here in the Mason County area, but to see a wall of color like this, it is just beautiful. So I've got everything organized by the different tray sizes that they'll be available in. So we just scrolled past all of the flats. And then this is our 4.5 inch pots. What we'll have available in 4.5 inch pots. And then our premium annuals, which the confetti mixes, they come in a gallon container, and they are a great choice if you have like a large pot that you want to fill. Instead of buying the individual components, you can buy something that's already mixed. And the way we grow them is whenever they get transplanted, they mix and intermingle from right at that moment. And then we also, of course, have a huge selection of hanging baskets and planters. So, again, I'll scroll back up to the top. You can find that at bobsmarket.com under the Our Plants section. So, right here, I'm moving the mouse over it right now. Also, well, you're here watching it, so you really don't need to know this. But also on our website, we have a little link over here that says live. And if you go to that link, you can actually watch Bob's Live right on our website now. So it's a direct embed of our YouTube feed. So you can catch Bob's Live directly on our website now. So I know some people don't have Facebook, and that's an easier way to watch it because you don't have to log in or anything like that. All right, so that's what's happening on our website, and we just saw some beautiful blooms. So let's head out to the greenhouse, where we also have some more beautiful blooms to see. And you also see some stuff being transplanted. Today I'm here at our new Uptown greenhouse where construction still continues, but if you look over my shoulder, we have some plants. So we're not completely done with construction, but we are moving in plants. So that last couple shots there in the new greenhouse, yeah, we've started moving plants out there. We actually don't even have electricity in that greenhouse yet. So right now they're like manually cranking open and close the vents. And we basically have water hoses and drip tubing sort of temporarily ran to irrigate out there. But we're doing that because we ran out of space. So that's hard to believe, but yeah, we need the extra space. Um, let's see. Donna is asking if we have any yellow butterfly bushes. And I am not sure on that. That is a nursery item, so we get those in from an outside supplier. And we usually get those shipments a little bit closer to spring. So here in a few weeks, I should have a better idea of what we have available as far as nursery stock. Um, Before we move on, I just wanted to say that you can give us a follow, of course, here on Facebook or on YouTube, where we're streaming simultaneously right now. But you can also find us on Twitter at Bob's Market, and then also over on Instagram. And if you have TikTok, you can also check us out over on TikTok. So this week, I wanted to talk a little bit about rototillers. And mainly because you'll see it here a little bit later, but I had a little rototiller repair project over the weekend. Um, but there's some different types of rototillers, and if you're looking at getting a rototiller, you might want to consider your space and what your needs are when it comes to a rototiller. So let's take a look at some of the different types, and I'll kind of go from smallest to largest. So let's say you have like smaller flower beds or raised beds or something along those lines. Um, Something like a smaller cultivator might be the best option for you. So pictured here is a smaller gas powered one. They actually use like a weed eater engine on them. And in fact, there's some weed eaters where you can actually get like interchangeable heads, and they have a cultivator attachment that you can switch out on the end of it. So these smaller cultivators, they're great for small spaces. So things like raised beds and flower beds. But they do take quite a bit of, depending on the size of it, quite a bit of upper body strength to use. Because there's no wheels to drive it or anything. It's basically you moving it around manually in order to cultivate. Up next is kind of its bigger cousin, and that is a front tine tiller. And this used to be mainly the only type of rototiller that you could get that was gasoline powered. Now the front tine tillers, it's sort of like a gigantic version of the smaller cultivator. So again, you got to use that upper body strength to really move it around and navigate it. But also those tines are spinning forward, and it wants to naturally pull you forward. So it's up to you to kind of hold it back. So if you're dealing with really hard soil, that can be a bit of a problem. So a front tine tiller like this isn't really good if you're breaking new ground or starting a new garden. It works great for established gardens, and also depending on the size of it, if you have really tight spaces that you need to get into, a front tine tiller can work pretty well. So that leaves the last main type of rototiller, and that is your rear tine tillers. So rear tine tillers, they have front drive wheels, and that kind of helps hold the tiller back because they're geared in such a way that the front wheels move slower than the tines in the back. So the tines in the back are spinning faster, and that helps mix up the soil more. And with front tine, or with these rear tine tillers, you can get into all sorts of different add-ons and attachments and stuff. There's companies that make basically a small tractor where it has like a PTO coming out of the back of the two wheels, and you can switch out the attachments. I've seen tillers that have like stirrers where it actually goes down in vertically and stirs the soil. Um, but in most of these tillers that you would see, like a Troy built or I'm not even sure what brand I have pictured there. With most of these, you're mainly dealing with two types of tilling action. And the classic was a forward rotating tine direction, or standard rotating is what they tend to call it. So, kind of the newer types that you can get have counter rotating tines, or if you get a really fancy one, they have dual direction tines where you can flip a lever and it'll reverse the direction, or whichever way you want to go with it. The benefit of counter rotating tines is that as the rototiller is traveling forward, the tines are rotating backwards. So that's really helping to bust up the soil, especially if you have new ground that you're breaking. And specifically, if it has rocks in it, it can really help dislodge those rocks and break them loose. Um, so yeah, Donna's saying she has one of those and loves it. And yeah, I have it's a rear tine tiller. It's an older Troy built pony, which that was kind of their smaller model of rear tine tiller, and it's a standard rotating, so the blades go forward with it. And that's kind of getting into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, and that is maintaining your rototiller. If you properly maintain a rototiller, they can last for years because they're made to bust up soil and they're built to last. The rototiller that I have, um, you'll see in the video, have replaced the engine on it, but the rest of the rototiller is just a few years younger than me, so it's about 35 years old at this point. Um, but there is a few things with older rototillers that you need to look out for. And one of the main things is worn tines. So the tines on a rototiller, it's kind of counterintuitive, but as they wear, they get sharper. So they'll get kind of more of a knife blade shape as they wear down. And that's not a good thing. Usually the tines on your rototiller should be nice and square and chunky. So you can see here in this picture is a new tine next to one that's being replaced. So though the one that's being replaced there, when it was new, it looked like the other tine. So that worn tine, it's not digging as deep, and it's also not digging as wide. So I just replaced the tines on my Troy built pony a few years ago, and when they were replaced, they had worn down so much that the tines actually weren't overlapping. So you were ending up with a little space about this wide that wasn't getting tilled when you would make a pass. So you ended up needing to make multiple passes over the same area to till it up. Robin's saying in the comments that coming down to get big bubble gum pretty soon. And yes, we're going to have the bubblegum Vista Pink petunias this year. Those are always super popular. So, getting back to rototillers. Got sidetracked there for a second with the comment. One of the things that I had to do this week, because my rototiller is 35 years old, it had a bearing that wore out on the belt drive. So specifically, it was an idler bearing. So it kind of rides on the back side of the belt. And whenever you push the lever in to put it into drive, it's what shoves the belt over into place and causes it to make contact with the rest of the pulleys. So I took it apart last fall ordered the part, then just got around to putting the pulley back on this spring. So it had been about 6 months since I looked at the rototiller, and well, that created a little bit of a puzzle. I probably should have taken pictures as I was taking it apart. So, well, you'll see in the video. Hi, today I have a little bit different of a video. You see, I've never really done any videos on equipment maintenance. And behind me, I have my rototiller, and last fall, this little idler pulley, the bearing went out on it. So it happened right when I finished tilling up the garden for the fall. So I thought today I would replace this pulley and show you a little bit about this tiller. It's a really old rototiller, and well, made a few modifications to it over the years. This rototiller is a 1980s model Troy-built pony, and they were really great tillers. The only issue we have with it is a few years ago, the original motor died on it. However, you can buy these Predator motors from Harbor Freight for right around $100. And it just so happens that it bolts onto the front of this rototiller perfectly. The only issue that we had is that to get this pulley on, we had to eliminate the reverse pulley. So this rototiller no longer has reverse. But anyhow, what died on it last year is an idler pulley. So it rides on the back side of the belt, and whenever you push the rod in to go forward, it shoves in on this belt and makes contact and drives the transmission on the tiller. So it's going to go on right here, and then I have another pin down here that I need to reconnect to hold this down in place. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so I think the first way I'm going to attack this is, of course, getting this pulley back on. And last fall I just sort of stuck the bolts on there loosely so I didn't lose them. And this, it has a bearing inside of it, so don't really need to worry about lubricating anything there. And then there's a lock washer, and then our nut. Ouch. There we go. Alright. Now the next thing that I need to reconnect is this pin down here. Okay. Oh, got that out. Didn't drop anything. That's a good sign. Okay. I may not be able to get that pin out. I might just be able to hold it there and then shove this down into place.
Yeah, that's going to be awkward. I'm thinking maybe if I grab it with some needle nose pliers here to hold it. Much finagling, I ended up taking the pulley back off, which let me get this pin in, and once I get that in, I'll just have to squeeze the pulley in past there, which as long as I have it set at freewheel, that shouldn't be too much problem. So let me get this pin back on. Alrighty. Now we can pop this back in place. Ooh, maybe. Yeah. That's a problem. Let's see where it moves to. Okay, that's in reverse. That's forward. That's freewheel right there. I don't know why that pin was out. Okay. So if I disconnect this connection, that might let me rotate this arm back this way. And do that. I got this thing off here somehow. It has to go back. All right. Oh, there we go. Almost enough room. Yep. I could just pry that. Oh, it's so close. There we go. Oh, awesome. Whew, that was fun. Now we've got our lock washer. And our nut. That's kind of awkward to get leverage on because it's recessed in. There we go. Whew. All right. Forward gear. Yep, that locks in. There's freewheel. So when I push in forward, that creates tension on the belt. The other interesting caveat of this rototiller is because of how we had to route the throttle control, it basically wasn't possible to hook up the throttle. So the throttle control is actually right here instead of a lever up on the rototiller. Let's turn it on. Open up the gas. Let's see, we've got one start.
Alright, so that was me spending way too long fiddling with the rototiller over the weekend. And well, it's always the little jobs that take the longest. And with that, I'll say keep on with those little jobs and keep growing. And I'll see you next week on Tuesday at 5 p.m. And also, you can find us online now at bobsmarket.com/live. So that's a lot easier address to tell your friends about our live show every Tuesday, 5 p.m. So until next time, keep growing.